I finally hit an 850 credit score, I got shamed by the community. They was like, good for you. Well, how do you get that? Well, that's not helping us. I'm like, I'm sharing it because I want to help you get there. So talk about that.
So a couple of things come to mind. When I transitioned from working in branches and working directly with clients, I worked for the Federal Reserve as a regulator in the consumer compliance group. And what was interesting was that I was in the room when a gentleman representing a company called Fair Isaacs brought a box and sat it in the middle of the conference room table and said, we're going to switch from credit, capacity, and collateral as a system for determining if someone's worthy to get access to assets from a bank to a system called a credit score. I was in that room. I'll never forget being in that room, and I asked the question, I don't understand how a number could be a determinant if someone has the wherewithal to repay debt. And it says, you're not supposed to understand that. And I got a look from my boss who said, don't ask any more questions. It was a big room of folks. But naturally, I knew that for our community, we needed to have a deeper level of discussion, especially how you tell the story and the journey, because most people are first-generation business owners.
Right.
Most people are just figuring out how to properly position their assets to tell their story, to get access to capital, moving from being a startup to being a fledgling company to the growth stage of your business life cycle. You need different resources along the journey.
Right.
And so having someone help you through that. But that credit score, being a non-starter, if you didn't, and what was interesting, when we started probing us, so what goes into the box? He said, well, we'll never tell everybody what goes into the box. So there's a lot of subjectivity that was never shared early on. So you always went from this dynamic of, is it good to have more credit open or not? Should I close a credit card or not? How does that impact my score? You could toggle around it, could never quite pinpoint what it needs to get over that number. And so if you don't have any credit, that was a penalty.
Right.
So not to go far off into that, but just to say that there are some inherent biases and dynamics that have been set up in the system. And so going back to your question, I found myself serving as a guide. How do I serve as a bridge between the information that is out there? And my role at the Fed at the time was to serve as a compliance advocate. So if a bank got a negative review when it comes to Community Reinvestment Act, being able to support our community and affordable housing access, my job was to go in and help them become compliant. And that required a lot of education. So it was incumbent upon me to understand how the systems work, to help banks be able to be a bridge to low to moderate income communities.
That's amazing. Many people don't have this story. I also know I met a gentleman who's in some of our circles who created the first ACH process. He was basically the founder of that. And I was like, you never told me that until it came up in conversation. And that's amazing that we've had individuals like yourself at the forefront that can help shape the systems.